Hi, everybody. This is Pam from Chappaqua Library, the director, and we're very happy tonight. We have three wonderful people from the Hachette book group. We've got Melissa Nicholas, Carrie Henderson, and Karen Torres, and they're going to help tell us about everything fantastic that's coming out in the fall and maybe some spring hints. And we're going to have time for like 3 or 4 questions at the end. So if you have any questions, put it in the chat and we'll do our best to answer it. So welcome, everybody.
Hello. Thank you for choosing to spend the evening with 2 of my dear Hachette colleagues and me. Karen Torres is our VP, Director of Field Sales and Account Marketing. And this might be hard to believe, but she's in her 4th decade with Hachette. She started pre-birth. And Carrie Henderson joined our team in December as a coordinator and quickly made us wonder how we did anything without her. And I'm Melissa Nicholas. I've been with Hachette for a little over 9 years. And we all love to read. And then after reading, we all love to talk, which is how we got ourselves here. Joan invited us to spend the night with you talking about Hachette books, and we're delighted to do that. We have 6 categories of books to talk to you about this evening, and that gets to over 40 books. And you may be asking yourself, how will I keep track of all these books? Well, you've got a lovely flyer emailed to you earlier today, and if you didn't get that, Joan will send one to you afterwards, so you'll be able to catch up with it. You'll be able to catch up with it afterwards. As Pam said, chat us questions. We'll do our best to answer things as we go along, and then anything else that we don't get to, we'll address afterwards, or maybe we'll do a little of both. So let's get started with Karen Torres, who will share Hachette's big brand name authors with you. And before she does that, I'm going to share our screen because we'll show you the covers as we go along. Karen, over to you.
The notable and newsworthy virtual book talk. Excellent name. So my role today is to begin by reminding you of some of our top best-selling authors, also known as brand name authors. So these are obviously people who have written books prior, and not just any books, almost all of them best-selling, and many hundreds of thousands of copies, books sold. These are names that might be familiar to you. Most people do not know us by the name Hachette as much as they do by the author names that I will now give you a little flavor of. So we publish authors like Ellen Hildebrand, James Patterson, Michael Connelly, Nicholas Parks, Iris Johansson, N.K. Jemisin, David Baldacci. I could go on and on, but I'm sure that at least for 1 or 2 of these names, you went, oh yeah, sure. And so you're familiar with the names, and that is us, the Hachette Book Group. What we love about these authors and what we love about their being brand name authors is that we can bank on a book or 2, mostly 1 book, but every now and then they surprise us and have 2 books for the year. And that is mostly why we celebrate them and love talking about them, because they have fans worldwide and are often eager for their new books. And those books are what are keeping us going today. I'm very happy to report that despite the news of slow sales and of course everything being closed and or very limited openings, we have books that are selling. And these brand name authors are helping us to sell lots of copies. Every one of them has, mostly all of them have a book coming this fall. And I could, recite them and give you names and dates, but we're not gonna do that. Instead, I would invite you to let us know who you're interested in, and we're happy to feed you more information or work with the wonderful librarians at Chappaqua Library, who will be happy to point you to the world of Hachette books and all their brand authors. And out of all of those authors, if I had 1 author that I would recommend you dip into, 1 author that I would recommend you try, I would recommend Ellen Hildebrand, who is the author of the moment. For those of you who are tuned in to CBS very early, she was on TV this morning with our own Gayle King. I say own because I act like I'm her friend, but I'm not. But you know, it's on my to-do list of things to become Gayle King's best friend. And so I was thrilled that she was able to interview Ellen and to share in her enthusiasm for book writing and celebrating her success. Many books later, that's a national spot for Ellen Hildebrand that she has not had before, and she was able to tell the world a little bit more about 28 Summers, which is currently out, currently on the New York Times list, currently on many of the best-selling lists, selling thousands of copies a week. We're excited for her, and mostly we're excited she has another book coming in November, Trouble in Paradise. If you read the first Paradise book, let me just tell you, they're not a sequel, so you don't have to read one to read the other. You could dip right in and get familiar with all of Ellen's fabulous characters, all of their secret lives, all of the love affairs, all of the secrets behind the love affairs. Dig in, enjoy. I highly recommend. I think my 4 minutes are up, but thank you very much for listening.
Karen, I'm hoping you get to be best friends with Gayle also. That would be good. All right. Carrie and I are going to swing into a section about big fall books. We're going to bring you books that are coming this fall that we're very excited about. And I'm going to start off with telling you about 3 books that are all hitting library and bookstore shelves on September 15th. Homeland Elegies by Ayad Akhtar. Ayad is the Pulitzer Prize-winning author of Disgrace and American Dervish. Akhtar's new novel focuses on the tensions between Pakistani immigrants and America in the here and now. It's a deeply personal work about hope and identity in a nation coming apart at the seams. Homeland Elegies blends fact and fiction to tell an epic story of belonging and dispossession in the world 9/11 made. It's part family drama, part social essay, and part picaresque adventure. Salman Rushdie calls this book passionate, disturbing, and unputdownable. And if you'll bear with me, I have another quote from Maria Semple, the author of Where'd You Go, Bernadette? And I think that that kind of speaks to the breadth of this novel. It appeals to lots of different people. We're all jazzed about it at the office. And so here's what she had to say. Ayad Akhtar offers up his heart and life with an honesty that astonishes. Never have I experienced such a reading thrill. I put down this novel, trembling at the courage it took to write it, and determined to be a better American for having read it. I think Maria is once again right on. Don't you agree, Karen? Oh, she's on mute. She's going to give us the thumbs up. Right. Okay. Moving on to Stakes is High by Michael Denzel Smith. Michael is the author of the New York Times bestseller Invisible Man, Got the Whole World Watching, which was published in 2016. His work has appeared online and in print in the New York Times, Washington Post, and a million other places. It's brave, clear-eyed, and passionate. Stakes is High is the book we need to guide us past our current crisis, to re-envision a country that lives up to the promise of justice, equality, and freedom for all. In Stakes is High, Smith exposes the contradiction between the heart of American life, between patriotism and justice, between freedom and inequality, incarceration and police violence. In a series of incisive essays, Smith holds us to account individually and as a nation. He examines his own shortcomings, grapples with the anxiety of feeling stuck, and looks in new directions for the tools to build a just America. In this profound work, Michael helps us envision a future that is not as grim as our past, with care, honesty, and imagination. Switching it up a little bit to The Paris Secret by Natasha Lester. Natasha Lester is another New York Times bestselling author. She wrote The Paris Seamstress and The Paris Orphan, and she's well on her way to becoming one of our brand name authors. I think my colleagues would agree. Before I dip in the book, I just want to share that Natasha is a wonderful follow on Instagram. She posts beautiful photos, many of them from her research for The Paris Secret, which features a secret collection of Christian Dior gowns that ties back to World War II's first female pilots in this heartbreaking story of love and sacrifice. This book is set in England in 1939, Paris in 1947, and present day. And if you enjoyed The Lost Girls of Paris by Pam Jenoff, Martha Hall Kelly's Lost Roses, Heather Morris's The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and Martha Hall Kelly's Lost Roses, and Kate Quinn's The Huntress, please meet Natasha. You'll love these books. And Natasha lives in Perth, Australia, and when Natasha's not writing, she loves collecting, vintage fashion, traveling, reading, practicing yoga, and playing with her kids. I mean, that sounds like a dream life too, I think. That's what I'd like to do, Karen, collect some vintage fashion, travel, read, practice yoga. And we'll go on to Carrie, who's presenting the next few titles.
Alex E. Harrow has gracefully created an alternate history of New England where three sisters who are witches change the course of history. When the Eastwood sisters join the suffragists of New Salem, they begin to pursue the forgotten words and ways that might turn the women's movement into the witches' movement. Part fantasy novel, part historical reimagining, this novel is bound to be on top of your to-read pile this fall, on sale in October to commemorate the women's suffrage centennial, but also perfect timing for Halloween displays. The next title is Ministry for the Future. Established in 2025, the purpose of the new organization was simple: to advocate for the world's future generations and to protect all living creatures, present and future. It soon became known as the Ministry for the Future. From the visionary New York Times bestselling author of New York 2140 comes a near-future novel that is gripping exploration of climate change, technology, politics, and the human behaviors that drive these forces. In their starred review, Publishers Weekly lauds this novel, saying, "This heartfelt work of hard science fiction is a must-read for anyone worried about the future of the planet." Ron Chernow recently provided the perfect quote for this book. Quote, "I defy any reader to resist the hypnotic power of this Harvard Whodunit. In a tour de force of investigative reporting, Becky Cooper guides us through a maze of academic politics and personal intrigue, her sleuthing laced with uncommon sensitivity and insight. Even as it engages us emotionally, this stirring narrative, with its heart-stopping finale, forces us to ponder the very nature of historical truth, a stunning achievement." This book is at once a true crime novel, an investigation into systemic biases in academia, and a personal exploration of one woman's motivations and fears. We Keep the Dead Close will keep you captivated to the last page. Now back to Melissa.
Thank you. Just a check-in. Are the screens advancing for you over at Chappaqua? You should see Children of Ashen Elm now.
Yes, they are.
Okay, great, thank you. So Children of Ashen Elm by Neil Price is the definitive history of the Vikings, from arts and culture to politics and cosmology, by distinguished archaeologists with decades of experience. This new work tells the story of the Vikings on their own term, their politics, their material world, and more. Vikings are known today for a stereotype of maritime violence, but they really exported new ideas, technologies, and beliefs. They discovered great new lands, and they encountered many peoples, and the Children of Ashen Elm will restore their achievements to the proper place in history and introduce us anew to the Vikings as a complex and fully realized society, rather than the characters of which they're so often reduced. And I'm going to keep talking about some narrative nonfiction, but hopefully you won't quiz me about all of these. But here's what we got now. The Janus Point by Julian Barber is a major new work of physics. The Janus Point will transform our understanding of the nature of existence. For 150 years, many physicists have embraced the idea that time's arrow, the sense that time is moving from past to future, emerges from the second law of thermodynamics. That's right, I said thermodynamics on a library buzz. Anyway, Barber instead argues that the passage of time is not due to the increase of disorder, but the growth of structure. Exciting, right? This argument leads him to a new formulation of what the Big Bang is, where structure was at an absolute minimum. This is great for fans of Carlo Rovelli's Reality is Not What It Seems, The Order of Time, as well as Sean Carroll's Big Picture. Maybe you guys have a physics book club in Chappaqua? I'm hoping so. Philip and Alexander is great for you history buffs. This promises to be the definitive biography of one of history's most influential father-son duos, two rulers who gripped the world and their rise from power, and their rise and fall from power. Alexander the Great's conquest staggered the world. He led his armies across thousands of miles, overthrowing the greatest empires of his time and building a new one in their place. He claimed to be the son of a god, but he was the son of Philip of Macedon. Philip inherited a minor kingdom that was on the verge of dismemberment, but despite his youth and inexperience, he made Macedonia dominant throughout Greece. It was Philip who created the armies that Alexander led into war against Persia. In Philip and Alexander, this classical historian shows that without the work and influence of his father, Alexander could never have achieved so much. This is a groundbreaking biography of two men who conquered the world, and this book is sure to get a lot of critical attention. Moving on to The Pattern Seekers by Simon Baron-Cohen. This will be a groundbreaking argument about the link between autism and ingenuity. Cohen calls us to support and celebrate autistic people in both their disabilities and their triumphs. And he shows us in Pattern Seekers that this theory of human civilization that connects autism and creativity is not something to consider new, but we also need to consider how society treats those who think differently. Carrie, over to you.
Thank you. Although slavery was outlawed in the northern states in 1827, the illegal slave trade continued in the one place most modern readers would least expect, the streets and ports of America's great northern metropolis, New York City. In The Kidnapping Club, historian Jonathan Daniel Wells takes readers to a rapidly changing city rife with contradiction, where social hierarchy clashes with a rising middle class, Black citizens jostle for an equal voice in politics and culture, and women of all races eagerly sought roles outside the home. It is during this time that the city witnessed an alarming trend. A number of free and fugitive Black men, women, and children were being kidnapped into slavery. The group responsible, known as the Kidnapping Club, was a frighteningly effective network of judges, lawyers, police officers, and bankers who circumvented northern anti-slavery laws by sanctioning the kidnapping of free Black Americans, selling them into markets in the South, South America, and the Caribbean for vast sums of wealth. In a time where historical factuality and accountability is more necessary than ever, the Kidnapping Club is a no-holds-barred depiction of the so-called abolitionist North. Even in the before COVID times, rates of suicide and mental illness diagnoses have been increasing. Author Terry Cheney is no stranger to these complexities of mental illness, and she is back with her new book, Modern Madness, to help others in their journey with their mental health. Structured like an owner's manual, Cheney portrays the experience of mental illness from the inside out, drawing on her own struggle and recovery to illuminate a world that often seems forbidding or frightening. Using narrative as a springboard, she encourages broader issues common to all diagnoses like stigma, coping skills, relationship dilemmas, and the variations of treatment. In her quote provided for this book, Anne Hathaway claims Cheney is a deeply necessary voice, and that's all the convincing that I need. Decoding the World is a buddy adventure about the quest to live meaningfully in a world with such uncertainty. It starts with Poe Bronson coming to IndieBio, a company providing funding to startups using biology to solve the world's largest problems. Arvind Gupta is the fearless one, a radical experimentalist. Poe Bronson is the studious detective, patiently synthesizing clues others have missed. Their styles mix and create a quadratic speed-up of creativity. As they travel around the world, finding scientists to join their cause, the authors bring their first-hand experience to the great mysteries that haunt our future. Natural resource depletion, job-taking robots, China's global influence, the works. After looking at the world through their lens, nothing in it will ever be the same.
Thank you. We're going to switch into a few more categories now. Those were the big fall books. I'm going to talk to you about some anti-racism titles now. At Hachette, we have a unique role and opportunity to communicate ideas that can improve our world. From new books such as The End of White Politics and Vanguard, to Ibram X. Kendi, Stamped from the Beginning, and stamped Racism, Anti-Racism, and You with Jason Reynolds, and many, many other superb works of fiction and nonfiction. HBG has published many moving works that communicate the importance of anti-racism, empathy, understanding, and social justice, sharing with you just a few of the notable voices in this critical point in history. The End of White Politics by Zerlina Maxwell was just published last week, or on July 7th if you're watching the recording of this event. Zerlina is an MSNBC political analyst and former Hillary Clinton staffer, commenter, speaker, and writer. Zerlina just had a riveting conversation on WNYC's The Brian Lehrer Show to discuss the issue of identity politics and how to fix liberalism. Zerlina elaborated the most important points of her book, such as the heavy impact that identity plays in US politics and what it would take to create a government that truly reflects all colors of our society. Ms. Magazine also includes the book on their list of July 2020 reads for the rest of us. There's been so much media attention for Zerlina. I hope you can catch an interview with her. She's fabulous. Vanguard by Martha S. Jones. Martha is an acclaimed historian and offers a new history of African American women's political lives in America. She recounts how they defied both racism and sexism to fight for the ballot and how they wielded political power to secure equality and dignity of all persons, from the earliest days of the Republic to the passage of the 1965 Voting Act and beyond. Jones excavates the lives and works of Black women, Maria Stewart, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, Fannie Lou Hamer, and more, who were the vanguard of the women's rights, calling on America to realize its best ideals. So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Olu guides readers of all races through subjects ranging from intersectionality and affirmative action to model minorities in an attempt to make seemingly impossible possible. Honest conversations about race and racism and how they infect almost every aspect of American life. Stamped by Ibram X. Kendi won the 2016 National Book Award for Nonfiction. This is a masterwork revealing how racist ideas were created, spread, and became deeply rooted in American society. In shedding light on this history, Stamped from the Beginning offers us the tools we need to expose racist thinking, and in the process, he gives us reason to hope. Why Are All the Plaque Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria by Dr. Beverly Daniel Tatum, a renowned authority on the psychology of racism, argues that straight talk about our racial identities is essential if we are serious about enabling communication across racial and ethnic divides. These topics have only become more urgent as the national conversation about race is increasingly acrimonious. This fully revised edition is essential reading for anyone seeking to understand the dynamics of race in America. And lastly, They Can't Kill Us All by Wesley Lowery is an indispensable work of journalism that is electric because it is so well reported. That was Dwight Gardner of the New York Times. Wesley is a Pulitzer Prize-winning author, and in his book, he describes the earliest days of Black Lives Matter and brings to life the quest for justice in the murders by police of Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, and Freddie Gray, as well as an intimate, moving portrait of the activists working to dismantle systemic racism in America. Please consider some or all of these. Now over to Carrie.
Thank you, and on to cookbooks. Ayesha Curry is most notably the wife of NBA star Steph Curry, but Ayesha is a star in her own right. With 2 cookbooks under her belt and a successful olive oil company, it's no surprise that her new book, The Full Plate, focuses on healthy, family-friendly recipes you can make in no time. This book offers 100 recipes that are flexible and flavorful and come together in less than an hour, making this your family's no-brainer go-to cookbook. Marcus Samuelsson is one of my favorite chefs, and while I still have not made it up to his Harlem restaurant, Red Rooster, I can now attempt to recreate some of his best dishes in my own home. It will be a disaster, but I will at least learn a lot about the vibrant diversity and deliciousness of African American cooking along the way. A work of stunning breadth and beauty with 150 recipes, The Rise returns African American cooking to its rightful place as an essential expression of our culture and is an essential new American cookbook. If you're anything like me, then you love to eat but are constantly wondering how the professionals make things taste good. Vivian Howard, one of those professionals, is here to show us just how to accomplish professional level flavor in her new book, This Will Make It Taste Good. This cookbook hits shelves in October, giving me just enough time to incorporate Vivian's 10 kitchen heroes and ultimately save Christmas dinner. 20% of households in America have an Instant Pot. This is one statistic I do not mind being a part of. People love this appliance because it is convenient, simple, and produces incredible meals with little effort. Instant Pot Bible, The Next Generation, dives deeper into this all-in-one machine's many functions, with all new suggestions for pot-in-pot or PIP cooking, where you set a smaller dish inside to cook delicate ingredients like fish fillets, desserts like sponge cake, and my favorite, the air fryer lid, offering more than 250 brand new recipes for family favorites and weeknight suppers for every model and size of the Instant Pot. It is now easier than ever to maintain a vegan lifestyle, and according to a global data report, 70% of the world's population is either reducing their meat consumption or leaving meat off the table altogether. With the development of plant-based meat alternatives from companies like Beyond Meat and Impossible Burger, it is now possible to enjoy vegan versions of your favorite meals. In her new book, Nava Atlas offers 125 recipes that use protein alternatives thoughtfully alongside other whole foods and fresh vegetables, bridging the divide between the traditional American comfort food diet and the whole foods, plant-based approach. By recreating favorites like chicken parm, BLTs, and Kung Pao chicken, even the staunchest meat lovers in your life will be satisfied. Whether you're a home cook pondering the difference between a cooking sheet and a baking pan, or a professional chef wondering whether you should sharpen your knives with a whetstone, a honing rod, or an electric sharpener, the Encyclopedia of Kitchen Tools has the answers you're looking for. Ranging from knives and spatulas, ladles and tongs, to Dutch ovens and crock pots, citrus reamers and zesters, the Encyclopedia of Kitchen Tools offers you a chance to reconsider all of the kitchen accessories you've accumulated over the years, as well as the opportunity to encounter new tools for the first time. With additional sidebars discussing a wide variety of topics, including the history of elaborate table settings, the best types of cocktail strainers, the cleanliness of salt pigs, and the best ways to care for cast iron, the Encyclopedia of Kitchen Tools is the new must-have reference Bible for active cooks and armchair chefs alike. This is now one of my favorite sections, the romance section. So we're going into the boyfriend project. What would you do if you found out your terrible boyfriend is disappointing you and 3 other women at the same time? Farah Roshan taps into this anxiety, which has permeated through female friend groups for centuries, in her new book, The Boyfriend Project, available now. A June library reads pick, this delightful own voices rom-com will be sure to heat up your summer reading list. Now for the July library reads pick, we present you The Heir Affair. After the success of The Royal We, authors Heather Cox and Jessica Morgan are finally serving us some more juicy, even if it is fictional, royal family gossip. Will the newlywed Duke and Duchess make it past their extravagant and scandalous honeymoon? Will the pressure from the Queen herself be enough to shatter their marriage? Luckily for you, this book is available now to read and find out. Back to Melissa.
I don't know if now is the right time to say that my mother plays mahjong with Nava Atlas's sister, the plant protein author. I think that's an important fact. And we're going to turn this over to Karen Torres, and KT is going to talk to us about some of our most beloved backlist titles.
So thank you. So far, Melissa and Carrie have spoken about a lot of new upcoming books. So we refer to those as front list, and those are the books that are bubbling up right now in conversations with bookstores and national accounts and librarians with reference to what you should bring in and stock up. When we talk about Backlist, what we're speaking to specifically are titles that have published anywhere from 6 months to a year to longer, and the bigger backlist they are, the longer they've been selling and selling and selling. And the idea is that, of course, what we would like to say is that every one of our books goes on to sell and sell and sell, but that would be a big fat lie, which is why we could highlight a few of the authors and books that we know have gone on to do extremely well and continue to do so. And it's mostly, of course, due to authors and subject matters and packages. And sometimes they're just the book that keep giving and giving and giving, especially if they have the right themes for the right time. We're very proud to be the publishers of Malcolm Gladwell, who we know for his other best-selling books, The Tipping Point and Blink, and here we have Talking to Strangers. A very timely book for right now. If you do not know this book, I highly encourage it. I highly encourage you to check out Malcolm Gladwell, who's the host of his own podcast, Revolutionist History, and also the author of the New York Times bestselling Outliers. This is a tremendously wonderful author whose writing, speaking, everything about him just makes you want to stop and breathe it all in. I highly recommend him. And of course, I'm not gonna deny that Jin Lee is one of my favorite Hachette book group authors. I got to work with her on her first book, Free Food for Millionaires, many years ago. And I fell in love with her writing then and have continued to be a great fan of her second book, Pachenko, which was a National Book Award finalist. Jin Lee is very special. She lures you into her books. There's so much teaching and education going on about cultures and family and history and food. And it just brings you all in. It's definitely waiting for you to enjoy if you have not already dipped into this. This is one of our best-selling books, as was Gladwell. Okay, and then of course it gets better and better because here is Andrew Sean Greer, who's Pulitzer Prize winner for the book Less. This is, right there it tells you, a breakout romantic comedy. I sincerely recommend this one as well. It's gone on to do extremely well for us and continues to just sell and sell. We're so excited because we have word that he has a new book coming within the year, into 21, I think. But we're thrilled he's back with a new one and we'll be publishing it, which means Less will go on to sell more and more and more as well. And it just gets better and better. If you don't know Cersei and Madeline Miller, then here's another one. This is just an incredible accomplishment for our author, Madeline Miller. This has gone on to be a bestseller. The original on sale date was April 10th of 2018. And it just came out in trade paperback in 20, or maybe the end of 19. But if I could, I think it was 20. But if I could tell you that it's been the book that has kept on giving, it kept selling and selling. So the publisher just kept putting it off. I think they're moving me along here. Here's Min Jin's Free Food for Millionaires, which was one of my all-time favorite books. I highly recommend it. And of course, there's Attica Locke's Bluebird for something totally different. One of my favorites, that's okay, for Bluebird, okay, who's playing with me? But Luis Alberto Urrea is an outstanding author. I love to just listen to him. I highly recommend him for a wonderful reading and listening experience. The Devil's Highway is one of his greatest accomplishments. Again, a timely book. I highly recommend it. As you can see, it says it right there, a true story. I highly recommend it. And of course, what's there to say about Octavia Butler? Just her name, Octavia Butler. Parable of the Sower. I recommend this as well. All great backlist books.
Hold on.
Melissa, are you having trouble unmuting yourself? Still? Still? There.
No, it finally worked. I apologize. That took a little while to unmute, which is not like me. I'm always ready to talk right away, as Karen knows. Thank you. We're wrapping up with a big shout out to our Hachette audio division. Just want to tell you they bring up a variety of popular genres out in audio form. They match our Hachette book group content with talented actors, composers, and producers, and include lots of downloadable options. They're an award-winning audio team. This is a great moment in time to fall in love with audiobooks. I haven't been able to see the chats so much because of sharing my screen, but we'll get to those in a minute if there are questions. I just want to thank you. It was wonderful for you to share this time with us. It was a terrific opportunity. So before we go to the questions, I want to take a moment to thank Pam and Joan and Rebecca from Chappaqua Library, our delightful hosts, and to Carrie, the Carrie with a C, who made this all run so smoothly. Any of the mistakes with muting were all mine. So we're very grateful. So while I stop sharing the screen, maybe Karen or Carrie with a K can jump in and tell me if there are any questions that have come up.
I have not seen any questions come through the chat function.
All right. Okay.
I'm just checking. This is Pam, and I'm checking to see if anybody has any chats, if there's any questions. Right now, I'm not seeing any.
Yes.
They're probably all mesmerized by what's happening and what's coming up. But I want to thank Melissa and Carrie and Karen from Hachette Book Group. I mean, this was fabulous. Thank you so much. I know we're excited about the titles that are coming up, and you know, you can get them at the library. You can buy them if you want, but I know we'll be probably buying many copies as we usually do because that's our business.
Well, thank you.
Oh, we're getting some comments. Thank you. Thank you. This is great. I really enjoyed it. So we're getting that from some of the chats. Oh, from all of us. Thank you. We can't wait to start reading.
Oh, very good. That's my favorite person, Marianne. Pull her car right up to the curb.
Curbside pickup. Here we go. I know.
That's such an exciting group of books that you have coming up this fall. Really, I'm very looking forward to reading a lot of them. And what a variety as well. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yes.
And also, I just want to mention, I was so glad you did the backlist because most of those books I read, but you know, you had so many titles and now I could remember them because you tend to forget what was the hot books of the time. And now I really enjoyed that. So thank you. I'm so glad we recorded it. This is Joan, by the way. I should put me back on.
But the other thing is, you know, our book
really
clubs are always looking for titles.
Yeah. You always
And
look, my book groups, we read less and so many of those backlists for our book group. And I'm really happy about hearing about the upcoming books and the books that are on backlist. Thank you.
Thanks, Joan. I think Karen made a good point too. Many of the titles she talked about, even though they're a little bit older, they're still timely for what's going on in our world now. And that's
right. Absolutely.
Good. Well, thank you again.
Thank you. And I'm glad we could make this happen because usually we do this in person. the Hachette Book Group usually does this for librarians in the fall and the spring, and with this pandemic, I'm just so happy that you were able to make this happen. And thank you, and we're very appreciative.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
All right, take care, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.